What's up, guys? This is Syntax, aka Straight Killer Forilla, and in today's video I'm going to show you guys how to create custom presets. That's essentially putting items or attachments on items and putting items into containers or into cargo. So strap in, this ought to be pretty cool. This tutorial starts right now. Okay, so starting with our local backup of our server files, I'm going to go ahead and open up Notepad++, and there's three files we're going to be working with today, and that's the types.xml file, the CFG spawnable types .xml file, and then the CFG random presets XML file. Now, we're not going to actually do anything in the types file. We're just using this for reference. Everything's going to be done for the purposes of this video in the other two files. Now, when we talk about spawning in vehicles with all the parts or some of the parts or specific items in them, like a gas can, or spawning in weapons with all their attachments or particular type attachments or full magazines, empty magazines, anything in that scope, right? It's all handled in these two files, or these three files really. Okay, and for example, if I'm going to search for a weapon, I'm going to search for the FAL. Hit search. All right, and so there's the FAL. This is a weapon that's already in the game. But weapons, for instance, have attachments, right, that can be on there. It could be a magazine, it could be a buttstock, a handguard, optics, whatnot. All those different attachments are individual items within the game themselves. So they have an entry in the types file themselves. And so if I continue searching for FAL, FAL has a folding buttstock, and it's got a different buttstock there, and then it's got a 20-round magazine, and different weapons all have different attachments and things of that nature. So what's important to understand is if I spawn in this FAL without any configuration whatsoever, then you're just gonna get the weapon. None of the attachments will be on there. You'll have to find them and put them on. All right. So if we want an FAL to spawn in with certain attachments or with all the attachments or whatever you want to do, all right, then where we do this is in the CFG spawnable types file. All right, and so in this file we have a FAL entry. All right, and then it's got some configuration factors here. I'm going to explain to you guys what this means, and then we'll go a little further into trying to optimize this a little bit. So this FAL, so this entry references the type FAL, so it knows we're talking about this actual weapon in the game, right? And then the way they do this in the game is they have attachment tags. All right, and so these attachments are randomized, or they have a chance of spawning or being spawned to the actual item, so to the weapon itself. So in the example of this FAL, right, we've got an attachment, right, which we want to be a folding buttstock, and this code, the syntax is important because it's going to be the same for any attachment for anything, right? But so we've got attachment tags in between. We've got an item. We want the FAL folding buttstock. Now we've got chances here on these entries. So the chance here is referring to the percentage of the chance that this attachment, the folding buttstock, will spawn at all, that this attachment will occur, right? Well, not necessarily the folding buttstock, but that this attachment will occur at all. And then on the actual buttstock itself, we have a 30% chance that if it does generate this attachment, that this attachment will be this folding buttstock. And that may be kind of hard to understand right now, but in a second it'll probably make more sense if you're not understanding right now. So 30% chance of an attachment happening, and then there's a 30% chance of it being a folding buttstock if it occurs. And then they close off the attachment tag. And so that's one attachment, right? And then we have a second attachment here for the FAL. All right, there's a 1.00 is 100% in DayZ in this code, right? So there's a 100% chance of this attachment, right, occurring, and there's a 100% chance of this specific attachment being the attachment that occurs, right? Which is a buttstock. So again, 100% chance of this occurring, 100% chance of it being this buttstock. So whenever this FAL spawns, it will have a this buttstock on it, all right? Because there's a 100% chance of this occurring, and then there's a 100% chance of when it occurs that it's this item, right? Which is the buttstock, right? And then they close it off with the closing attachments tag. So we go to our third attachment. So this is where the percentage and the chances kind of come together a little bit, right? Or at least hopefully it does when I explain it. So here's the third attachment, right? There's a 20% chance of this attachment occurring, right? And then within this attachment chance, right, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 different optics, right, that the game's going to choose from randomly. 5 different optics. So it's 20% chance of this attachment occurring. If it does, there's 5 items, and each of these optics has a 20% chance of being selected, of occurring. So 20% chance that this attachment will happen at all. If it happens, each one of these different optics has a 20% chance of being the one selected that spawns if this attachment spawns. So attachment spawns, you got to random, so it's randomized. You're gonna get one of these, right? Potentially. I mean, I guess it's possible that 20% is still kind of low. I guess it is possible that none of them get chosen, right? But that's essentially how this works, right? And then we've got this last attachment, right, which is a magazine, right? So there's a 10% chance of this attachment occurring, and then there's a 100% chance that if it does occur, that you get a 20 round mag for the FAL, all right? So that's how this is structured. Now, if you're wanting to make sure that an item spawns, right, then what you want to do is you want to make sure that the chance of the attachment occurs is 100%, and then you want to make sure that the item specifically that you want to spawn, that its chance is 100%. Now, in my experience with modding DayZ, I like to put 100% chance that the attachment occurs, and then I like to usually go with 99% chance that that the attachment itself will occur. And honestly, it really shouldn't be much difference though, but I've had a lot more success with the 99.99. And so if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So that's what I do. But 100% should work as well. All right, so to give you an example of that idea, we go look at the M4A1. Right, so in this configuration, right, if we go back to the types, right, the M4A1 is an actual M4A1. There it is. It's an actual item in the types, right? And so I've actually already added a couple variants of the M4A1. We've got the M4A1 black, so it's painted black, and then we got a green one. And again, it's got different buttstocks and attachments and different colors for the different variants as well, right? So we're looking at the M4, right? I've already got it configured here so that when the M4 spawns, right, that there's a 100% chance that this attachment will occur, and then there's a 100% chance that when this attachment occurs, that it will be this buttstock, right? And then the second attachment is for a handguard. There's a 100% chance that this this attachment will occur, and then there's a 100% chance that when it does occur, that this attachment is a ACOG optic, and then so on and so forth. Same thing with the third attachment. It's for a magazine. 100% chance that this attachment will occur, and then 100% chance that when it does occur, that it will be a 30 round magazine. All right, so let's talk about that magazine for a second. Now, I lied a little while ago. I said we weren't going to do anything in the types file. I lied. All right, so in the case of the magazine for the FAL, for example, that's not the right feature. All right. We use the FAL. So that 20 round mag. Now, if we want to control how much ammo is in that magazine, then what we want to adjust is the quantity minimum and the quantity maximum. All right. And so this value in between these tags represent percentages. So right now it's set at, if it spawns, it's going to have a 10% chance of being full. or not 10%, excuse me, it'll be full 10%. It'll have 10% of the capacity. So at 20 rounds, right, 10% of that would be 2 rounds. And then the maximum it could have would be 70% of its capacity. So if I want it to be full, then I would make that 100. Make that 100. And then if I wanted to make it 50%, then I would set, them both to 50. And making them both 50 guarantees 50%, or half of the mag will be full. Making them both 100% will guarantee that the magazine is full. And then you can obviously create some variance there. So if I wanted to spawn at least with half a mag, then I put the minimum at 50 and then put the maximum at 100%. Okay, let's go back to our M4 entry. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and change the actual chance of the actual item spawning to 0.99. That's just a preference that I have personally. When I first started modding this game, I had a lot more success with the items chances being 0.99. But honestly, it really shouldn't make any difference. But since it's always worked for me, I just stick with it, right? Do you? So I'm gonna save that. Now that's it pretty much for getting the attachment to spawn. And you can spawn it however you want to do it. Now let's talk about vehicles for a second. So vehicles, or putting attachments on vehicles, or putting parts onto vehicles, where it's gonna work the exact same way. So in my types, I'm gonna look for, I don't know why I keep doing that. I'm gonna look for example, we're gonna go with the off-road vehicle. All right, the off-road hatchback. All right. All right, so we got the off-road hatchback. Copy that, and then we're gonna find. So this is the vehicle itself. As it is, it will spawn in, but with no parts or no items attached to it, unless it has a configuration file. And so we go look at the configuration for it in the spawnable types. We're going to search for the off-road vehicle as well. And there we go, off-road hatchback. And as you can see, the game already has an entry for configuration for it. And again, this is going to work the exact same way as the weapon. So we've got the item or the type name, hatchback, which corresponds to the type file. So they know that's the vehicle they're talking about. The configuration is for. And then they've got attachments, individual attachments with tags, and then the item that's attached to it in between. And you'll notice the chances, right? So each attachment has its chance for the attachment itself, and then each item has a percentage itself. So as it stands, vanilla, right? The hatchback, this vehicle, is going to have 80% chance for 3 of the wheels, and if you notice, they have 4 entries for wheels. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, there's actually 5 entries for wheels. Oh, because it has a spare, I imagine, or something. I don't know. But there's 5 entries for wheels, and so that's you need at least 4 to get all 4 tires, right? And it looks like 4 of the wheels have an 80% chance, which is pretty good. But the last wheel has a 20% chance. So this may explain why sometimes you go find a hatchback and it may have all 4 wheels, or it may only have 3 of the 4 wheels or whatnot. So in this case, this attachment will be there, right? But there's an 80% chance that this won't be there. So it'll be an attachment with nothing attached to it, if that makes sense. And then the car battery has a 60% chance of spawning in, the spark plug, headlights 40%, so on and so forth, right? So we see we got some chances, right? You might not find all these items when you go find it. Now, if we want to make sure that these items spawn on the card every time it spawns in, then we very simply just change the chance of the actual items to, that's right, you guessed it, 99. Right? Well, I'm going to put it at 99. You can put it at 100 if you want to. I'm telling you, 99 is going to work out for you. Alright, so I'm going to put 99 on all these chance entries. Alright, I've got all my values switched to 0.0 or 0.99, which means that all these parts will spawn in on the vehicle once the vehicle is spawned. Now, let's go add an item that's not a part to the vehicle. So you guys can attach weapons to the vehicles, different items, whatnot. You know, because the actual vehicle has cargo space as well, or storage space. And so if we wanted to add a gas can to the car, so that when you show up to the car, it's got all the parts and you got a can of gas, you can just pour right in there and be ready to go. Then what we would do is just add another attachment. This is a way to do it. We're going to copy this attachment tag setup, create a space. I'm going to add a new attachment, and then I'm just going to change this title, this name, to the item we want. So if we go to types and we want to get the gas can, it's gasoline something. So let's see, there we go, canister gasoline. So I'm going to copy, I'm going to copy the title, and see here we can have a brain for it. Copy the name. We're gonna go back, and then we're gonna paste that type name into the type name here, and we've already got everything the way we want it. 100% chance of this attachment occurring, and a 99% chance that the gasoline canister or gasoline can will be that attachment. All right, and so now when this vehicle spawns, it'll have all its parts it needs to roll. It'll have a gas can in the back. You can pick up, put fuel in, and you can roll out. Okay, lastly, we're going to talk about presets and the random presets file. So these presets are used essentially to group items into groups, or to put items in groups that can be called easily to put items into cargo, or put items into objects, or items that can hold other items. So put things in. If I want a couple items to be put in pants specifically, be put in a shirt or into a sea chest or whatever, right? I want to make a configuration of items. I want this set of items, this little kit, to go inside this item. Then this preset file makes it easy to reference those items to a specific container or cargo item. So to give you an example, we're going to look at the random presets. And so here we see that the game has vanilla. It has a cargo group, and so there's cargo tags that are used for these presets. And so for this cargo group, this random preset mixed army, the game is created, or somebody, the devs or whoever, right, created this preset mixed army, and inside that preset there's going to be some there's some soda can, there's some food, and there's some ammo, and a canteen. Now if you notice, it's structured similar to how the structure of the spawnable types, right, where you have the item and then a chance or percentage, right? And so what it's saying is in this preset, in this mixed army preset, right, there's 3 soda cans. You got a 0.05% chance of each of these or one of these being selected. And really it's all these items. So you got, a few items there, and each item has its prospective percentage chance that that item will be spawned in using this preset. So if I had a jacket and I wanted to put food and some ammo in it, I could assign this mixed army preset to that jacket, and then whenever that jacket spawns, then those are the percentages of the of those items, the chance that they will spawn inside of that jacket per se. Now there's a lot of these already in the game already, right? But we can create our own presets. And for example, you can see here, for a sea chest, if you saw my previous videos, I had a sea chest on the airfield that had items spawn in it, that spawned into it. And the way I did that was I created some presets, and I put items in that preset, and then I just assigned that preset to the sea chest. And so up here you can see that they have multiple items inside one preset, and you could do it that way. But again, remember, if you want to guarantee that something spawns in, right, then you want to give it a 100% chance of spawning in. And so the best way to do that is to create individual presets for individual items, so that you can call that item, and then you know that item is going to be the one that gets spawned in. And so, for example, there's some items, some unreleased items that I put in the game in my previous videos. And what I did was is I created a preset. You've got the cargo tags, is what it starts with, right? You get your cargo tag, cargo tag as a, and then you've got the name. So I created this name for this. Let's look at the ones we did on the last video. We did a paddle and we did a pitchfork. So the paddle, you've got your cargo tags, which tells the game this is going to be cargo that goes into something. 100% chance of this pad being created as a cargo item, right? And I just named it pad. You can name it whatever you want to. And the item I chose for this preset is the paddle, right? And I gave it a 99 or 0.99% chance, or 99% chance of spawning in this preset if it's used. And this is its own preset, right? Indicated by the cargo tag. So this is all one preset, right? And then I did the same thing for my other individual items. All right, and this is the pitchfork. I named it pitch. You know, again, you can name it whatever you want to, right? As long as you use the correct item that you put inside the cargo item. And you can kind of see I did the same thing for a lot of these unreleased items. Again, now this is a way to do it. Again, I'm about making it simple, and if it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So this has worked well for me. And so what you do, once you have a preset created, is you go back to your spawnable types, right? And remember, the spawnable type tells you the configuration of the items. Here in presets, we define a category or a preset of items we wanted, right? Whether it's one item or it's many items. And then what we're going to do is go back to spawnable types, and we're going to configure an item, a container, to contain our preset. And so if I go ahead and search for the sea chest, all right, there's my sea chest. All right, and as you can see, sea chest uses a hoarder tag to let you know, and that tells the game that this thing can contain items. And I don't know if we talked about that in a previous video, but that's something unique to actual containers. But all you do is in the type tag for the sea chest, right? Very similar to how we did the weapons, right? Instead of putting an item and percent chance and that kind of stuff, all we simply do is we create a cargo tag, right? And we put the preset item into it. So you can see I've got a bunch of stuff in here, and I've commented out a lot of these items. And remember, commenting out causes the game to ignore the code. So I've got, you know, a few items in here, but the only ones that are going to spawn right now are these 4, because the rest are commented out. The game's just going to ignore it. So it's very simple. You've got a cargo tag, which is this here, right? And then my preset name is camera. Now, if we go over here, right, back to the random presets, we see that I've got a custom cargo preset or random preset, and I use notes so I can know what's going on, right? This is all from my sea chest, and I called it camera, and then it's going to put this door test camera in the game. So that's what it's supposed to do. Anyway, I haven't actually verified this camera yet. But that's the name, and then I just reference that preset name, and then the game's gonna reference camera, it's gonna reference camera, it's gonna reference this, it's gonna put that in the game. So all these files talk to each other, right? They all talk to each other, same thing. So the ones we're gonna, in fact, I'm gonna take that out for now. So we got the meat tenderizer, and I'm gonna take out the I'm gonna put the sword back in. I'm just commenting out items. Maybe do it the right way. All right, fine. We'll just do it this way. There we go. So I've got my sword, I've got meat tenderizer, I've got a paddle, and a hay hook. All right, if we go to random presets, we can see that they correspond. Meat tenderizer is the preset name, sword, pad, and hay hook. And here we go. We got the pad, which is the paddle. We got the meat tenderizer. There it is. See, that's the actual name. That's the meat tenderizer. So it's named the same thing. We got the pad and hay hook. There's our pad. And there's our hay hook. All right. So it's that simple. I plug it in. Make sure everything's between my types tags. And then I save my file. All right. Then all I have to do at this point is stop my server, patch my files over to the server, and then restart the server and look for the changes. Now, again, I recommend that whenever you patch over changes, to stop your server and then just reinstall it if you want the the effects to take effect immediately. Take the changes, take effect immediately. I can't talk today. If you want your changes to take effect immediately, stop your server, reinstall the game, and then patch your files over. Then stop server again, and then restart your server after you've named it whatever you want to or whatnot. All right, so we're going to go ahead and then do that, patch it over, and see what we get. All right, we've got our files transferred to our server, and I'm loading the game to see if our changes have taken effect. Now, I've put in a custom vehicle spawn so that we can verify that vehicles do spawn in with parts, or at least all the parts. We're going to check to see that our C chest has all the items from our preset configuration, and then we're going to check to see if we can find an M4 that has the attachment presets that we set up as well. So let's let the game render in for a second, and let's go have a look around and see what we can find. Alright, so we've got our C chest here, and as you can see, we've got the sword that I added back into the code, or at least uncommented so that it shows up. We had presets for each of these items. Those presets were tied to the C chest configuration, and thus these items are spawning into the C chest. Alright, let's keep looking around. Alright, we got a vehicle here. It's kind of in a bad spot, but in any case, this vehicle has all its parts. Now you'll notice that the parts, some of these parts are not in good condition. Some of these parts are ruined. And in a later video, I'm going to show you guys how to get all your parts or all your items when they spawn in to spawn in pristine condition, and remove the variance in if it's in good or if it's bad condition, that kind of thing. But we can verify that all the parts did spawn in with the vehicle, and that we have a gas can that we also added to that vehicle configuration. Alright, so the only other thing we need to look at now is see if we can find an M4. So we're going to go check out this heli crash and see if we can find this M4. And it should have all of our attachments from our configuration file. It's a little ways away. Now I removed the zombies from this C-130 crash so they didn't bother us. So they didn't get in the way. And let's see what we got. And we've got an M4. And there we go. Alright, so M4 has the attachments configuration that we set up in spawnable types. It has the optic, buttstock, the handguard, and then the I believe it's 30 round magazine is the capacity of it. And again, in my next video, I'm going to show you guys how to spawn in magazines with full capacity. And again, show you guys how to spawn in items in pristine condition, so you don't have, you know, damaged things or you know, or worn items or whatnot. All right, so all of our configurations are working. I'm gonna go ahead and close the game and get back to our desktop. That's all I have for now, guys. If you found this video helpful, if you found it useful, then let me know in the comments and hit the like button. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on my upcoming tutorial videos for DayZ modding. Until next time, guys, happy modding.